Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I am Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
So today we're taking a little bit of a pause on our Sister Wives rewind, simply because this new season of Sister Wives is intense.
Yeah, we're a little over.
There's just so much Cody you can take in.
Exactly. That's exactly.
So we decided to cover. Today we're going to cover Love is Blind. This is a show that we've covered in the past, and we both really like it. So we've watched the first 7 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to talk about the first 7 episodes, and we're going to try to hopefully be as succinct as possible. But we're going to go through and talk a little bit about the couples, and then we're going to talk about what's happened sort of post the pods, Mexico, and living together. And so what are your thoughts on this season of Love is Blind, season 5?
Well, it's very interesting. It takes place in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of oil and gas people.
Yes.
Yes.
And a lot of lawyers.
Engineers, geologists. Yeah, people who clearly work in the Houston oil and gas industry. And it's a lot of drama.
Yes.
It's a lot of drama. The contestants, I don't know what you want to call them. They're all, quite interesting.
Yes. Well, here's my question is, do you think they've just, because they go to a new city each time, so you would think, okay, these are fresh groups of people, but do you think that it has jumped the shark to the point where now you're getting people who, and I don't even think these people necessarily want to be famous. I felt like before there were people that wanted to be famous much more than this group, but they are just the messiest people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like they went to the housewives school of, we've got to keep starting drama. And,
Right.
can I give you some advice and stuff like that, where you're poking your nose into other people's business. I was like, no, this isn't really what this show is about.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable in any reality show
Yes.
that after a couple seasons, the dynamics change because these people have obviously watched the previous seasons. So I think they go into it with a game plan.
Yeah.
And, they want to come off a certain way. They want to be perceived a certain way. And, also, yeah, there's a lot more talking amongst themselves, like and comparing notes, which I don't remember as much from the prior seasons.
Yes.
They go back to the men's quarters and the women's quarters, and they're talking about stuff. Now, some people chose not to, like Stacy deliberately chose to stay out of it. She didn't want to have anything to do with it, which I think is smart. But yeah, just it starts to ruin it, when they start doing that.
I think, what it is? It's not necessarily where you've got someone like Bartiz, where, he wanted to be in, reality star famous.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got people who, I don't think they want to be famous in that sense, but I think they know very well, like, what gets shown, what doesn't get shown. I think they know that they have to come across as a certain kind of person and personality, and that if you don't, if people misinterpret what you're saying, that it's very easy to make you the villain. And I think it's a lot of people self-producing not to be the villain versus just being who you are.
Right.
Now, there are some people who think they're awesome on the show and they are the villain. Uche.
Yeah.
In a
He's
word.
scary.
He is. But it's just, I'm like, is it Houston? Is it the fact that this has been on too long? Is it the casting change? It just felt like it was messy from moment one. And so let's dive in.
Yeah.
Where should we start? Do we start with sort of do we start with Miss Lydia?
I think we should start with, what really is unique and, kind of driving this season. I think we should just start with it and put it out there. Okay. So basically, because I have a theory about this.
Oh.
Okay. So Uche, he's a lawyer. What is he? 30?
He's 33. Hold on, I have my notes here. I just have to get to Uche. Uche is 33. He's a lawyer, but he's started his own software company.
Okay, so what? He's a failed lawyer?
He's an entrepreneur.
Okay.
That is Uche.
And Lydia is a geologist, and she is around the same age.
She's 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just get right to it. Now, we don't find this out until episode 3 or 4?
3.
Okay. That these guys dated as recently as 3 months before they showed up to tape this show. Now, number one, before we get into the reveal of that, I'm sorry. If you were just with this person 3 months ago, you knew at 3 months ago you were going to be on this show. Like, they didn't talk about that. Mm-hmm. The casting would have happened long before.
Maybe it happens really quickly. I don't know.
I just have this feeling that they knew each other was going to be on the show, or maybe one of them got on the show and told the other one, "Oh, you should try out for the show." I find it very hard to believe. I don't know what the population of Houston is, but I just find it very hard to believe that these two people would end up on the show. There's not that many contestants on the show, and that they had dated previously and were together 3 months ago.
Well, yeah. And the best is when they do show us this reveal, Uche walks in and Lydia says, "Uche," and she knew exactly who it was. And he's like, "Who is this? Who is this?" I'm like, She
you don't recognize her voice?
She has a very distinct accent and a way of speaking. You were sleeping with her 3 months ago. You cannot remember. So first off, that
seemed fake.
And did it? Because I was like, wow. Because I don't think Uche is that good of an actor. You think that part was fake?
Oh, he's a great actor. Are you kidding me? He, the way he was cross-examining all these women, the way that when he had, when he was talking to Aaliyah about the different issues they were having, he was acting his ass off. This man is so calculating. He is like a robot.
Yeah, maybe I phrased that incorrectly, because I do know what you're talking about. He is very calculating, and I guess I don't think Uche has a lot of self-awareness about himself, like, not enough, obviously. So I think that I do wonder if he is that big of an egomaniac that he just didn't even remember her after 3 months. I don't know. You're much more skeptical about things. I tend to be like, oh, they didn't know. I tend to believe it. What I also would like to know is, how did they decide not to tell anybody? Right? Because it sounds like they see each other again. Lydia says, maybe we should start from ground zero. Maybe we should start again. Uche says, no, I don't think we should do that. And I don't. So, but they never then talk about, or we don't see it. So we're just going to keep the secret and then eventually share it if we get serious with someone. Did the producers come in and say, you can't share it?
That's a whole nother thing.
I'm very confused about that.
Put yourself in the shoes of a producer. Okay, let's assume the producers didn't know that they knew each other, which I wouldn't necessarily presume. That I think the producers could have been in on it and said, wow, this will be great. And it sort of backfired on them. Okay. But if you're a producer, as soon as that scene is being filmed and this starts to unfold, I would be like, oh God, cut, like, hold up. Like, what do we do? Like, because this could potentially spoil the experiment.
Yes, which it did.
It had a negative impact on it and all kinds of repercussions. And so either they knew about it or they thought, oh, well, this is interesting. Let's just see what happens, which seems very reckless.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
now you're slowly convincing me.
Because
I'm changing my mind now. Maybe they do. But you are right that even if there was a fast turnaround time, Uche seems like the kind of person, because he does say he has OCD. He seems like the kind of person that would not apply for something to do something that where you audition and then they send you on a plane to Mexico a week later. So maybe one of Uche's theories is, and we'll get into that because Uche is it's hard to know who to believe. One of Uche's theories is that maybe Lydia saw that he applied the last time they were together. That
how would she know that?
I don't know. That was one of his things. Like he said that as one of the he's like, I don't know. Maybe she saw that I applied and maybe she, decided to apply herself.
Oh, and you just both happened to get cast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well,
and I also think it takes more than 3 months to get cast on a show like this.
Yeah. Let's find out. I want some of these other Love is Blind people to come out and tell us a little bit about what the process is and how quickly it is, because that would be very helpful.
Sure, they've all signed NDAs.
Okay, hold on. This. Did you also see this? I thought was very interesting. We saw more food ever in this season because there were all those reports about how the fact that they don't feed them and they don't
get any sleep.
They don't get sleep and they ply them with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And don't you love that? Day one, it's like we have never seen a huge spread like this with bagels and all of this stuff. I was like, oh, this is very interesting. They're showing us a lot of shots of food. I was like, someone's covering their ass.
Yeah, and I didn't see those goblets as much. So maybe they were.
Oh, I know. We saw the goblets a lot.
I guess, but maybe they were limiting their drinks. But
they wanted us to know we're feeding them.
Yeah.
They want us to know that. Okay. Right. So do you want to get into the whole Lydia?
Sure. So originally Lydia, she liked Izzy.
Yes.
And was there somebody else other than Milton?
It was always, no.
Well, Milton liked her.
Yeah. So Izzy he's sort of the cool guy.
He's the one everybody wants.
Yeah, everyone wants. He's 29. He's an insurance agent, but I guess that's kind of a new job.
A salesman. Yeah.
And he had been engaged in the past. And so, Lydia's the first person that we meet in the show. And Lydia just wants to be loved.
Yeah.
And again, I still maintain that boy, the casting on the show, like this is not a good place for her at all. I don't think this experiment was right for Lydia at all. But she just is. It's just this outpouring, this need. It's so needy, so intense. Yeah. And obviously Izzy got a vibe with that and was like, no, I don't want that. And so he says, no, this isn't going to go any farther pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I think that's all in the first episode. Mm-hmm. But she was just hard on her sleeve, just instantly.
Yeah. And I don't think she had any other connections other than Milton, who was a very, very unlikely connection. He's 24. She's 30 or 31.
He's an engineer.
He's the epitome of a nerd.
Yeah. But he's into rocks like she is. They're both science and rocks and geology and all that.
They have that in common. But he's very vulnerable with her. And, before she sees him, he opens up to her. Mm-hmm. He's vulnerable with her. But it happens very quickly and you think, oh my gosh, this can't be happening.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she's going to eat him alive. Because I wonder if he's even ever had a serious relationship.
I don't know.
Because he has this whole backstory about how he was raised in Japan and then he came to the United States and then he graduated college. He entered college as a junior. He graduated very young. He's only 24. I mean, I don't think he's emotionally, very mature at all.
No.
But he's very sweet and endearing.
Yes.
And so she picked up on that. And
I think she picked up on the fact that this person's going to love me. I mean, he's going to love me.
Well, maybe. Does he even know how to love you? Can he even handle?
I don't know. We're going to see.
Handle her. I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, no. The show never listens to me. I say that no one should be there under 30 anyway, or 28.
Yeah, because everybody else was like 29, 30,
except
31.
for Taylor, who's 25.
Oh, she was only 25?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, she seemed more emotionally mature than Milton.
Yes.
In my opinion. But
so while all this is happening, Uche is getting close to Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaliyah is 28. She's an ICU nurse. And she also lived in Japan for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so she and Uche are getting very close. And so what we see in the first couple of episodes is we don't know about Lydia and Uche.
Right. They don't spring that on us till later.
Lydia and Aaliyah are like besties in the quarters. They are best friends. They're all over each other. Lydia's always
confiding in each other.
Lydia is telling Aaliyah, "Oh my God, we're the same person. We're so alike. We're so this. We're so that." And all the while, she is not telling Aaliyah any of this. Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm just like, I would love to know, what was the agreement that the two of you made? Like, until we get serious with someone, we'll reveal it then.
I don't even think they said that. I think they just said, well, we can't say anything.
Uh-huh.
And then at some point, I feel like the producers probably said to them, you need to say something because this is it's going to come out.
Yes.
Very soon.
So Uche and Aaliyah they're getting to know each other, and
they both like poetry.
Yes,
he gets her a journal.
Oh, yes. So
and then he writes her this poem that is terrible.
Oh, what? I've missed that.
Yeah. Well, it was terrible.
Oh,
he's like, I wrote you a poem, and it was awful. Or yeah.
So he says, so they're talking about relationships and being dishonest in relationships. Mm-hmm. And he asks her, which is such a leading question, have you ever been dishonest? Is that his wording? Have you ever been dishonest in a relationship? And she says, yeah, of course. We all have, I'm human. Mm-hmm. And then she sort of is holding back. And he says to her, I wrote this down, you can be honest. Tell me about it. So,
like, this is a safe space. You can tell me about this.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, you bastard. And so she tells him that she was in a relationship for 2.5 years. She wasn't very happy. She was not very sexually satisfying. Aaliyah does tell us early on that she needs a lot of sex. She's a very sexual person. So she's in this relationship for 2.5 years. She's not happy. And she ends up cheating on the boyfriend with someone once and felt awful about it, didn't say anything. And then 3 months later, they break up. Mm-hmm. And of course, Uche says, oh, you're a recent cheater.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, first off, she's 28. I say this a lot. The 20-something years are a lot happens. Like,
who hasn't cheated on someone?
But 26 to 28, there's a lot of growth. That's not 56 to 58. It's 26 to 28. Like, she was a different person.
Well, and also as if Uche's never cheated on someone. Please.
Yeah. No. Well, we soon learn more about
holier
that.
than thou.
Yes. And so he's like, oh, you're a recent cheater. And then he gets on her about the fact that she never told the guy did you ever tell him? And she said, no. Why would I do that? We're breaking up.
Yeah.
Why would I hurt him? And he's like, well, then he says to her, well, then you would be an honest person. I'm like, oh,
so manipulative.
Fucking bastard. I want to say that I don't think, this may not be a popular opinion, but I don't think that you always need to tell people that you've cheated.
No,
I think in that
it doesn't serve a purpose.
It does not serve one purpose. If you're going to be with this person, then that's a little different. But even then, I think sometimes people cheat a lot more than it's talked about. And I think that people go on business trips and they sleep with someone and then they come home and it's done. And I don't know, how does that serve if you've been in some 20, 30-year marriage? Right. How does that serve either of you? Yeah. And I don't think that you're being, quote unquote, a dishonest person. I just think that it's, I've been married almost 20 years. It's a long time to be married to someone, and things happen.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of hate.
I know.
Hate
it's just, I don't mean to dismiss it, but it's just, I don't think it's always, I think that she would only be telling him in that moment to get it off her chest.
Remorse, yeah.
I think that it was what she needed to do to get out of the relationship. So,
well, look, he just,
but he set her up.
He shamed her about it, and then, upset her, and, just kind of ended the session, and
she was devastated.
She was devastated, and then she goes back to Lydia, her confidant.
Yes. And we don't know. And it's funny, I rewatched this. If once you have the knowledge about Uche and Lydia, rewatch the episode and look at Lydia's face when Aaliyah's telling her all this. Because Lydia looks like she's just seen a ghost. She doesn't know what to do. But yeah, she goes back to Lydia, tells her all about it. And of course, Lydia's trying to console her and say it's okay. And then I guess it's the next day or whenever it is, they come back together, and Uche, he does backtrack a little bit, and he says, "Oh, well, I'm trying to see your perspective. I'm here." He makes this big deal of the fact that I'm back now.
Right.
And I've thought about it and I've processed, and I'm trying to see your perspective, and it's not something that I always do. As if,
oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. As if she should be so eternally grateful that he's stretching himself. But did he ever apologize?
No, because, no, not really. Because she said, you really hurt, the things you said really hurt me. And I can't remember what it was that he had said, but she said, you said to me, da, 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 and that really hurt me. And he's like, well, I never said that. And she's like, yes, you did. You did say that. And then he probably thought, yeah, they probably have tape of this, so I should probably admit it. And then he did that thing like a non-apology, like, I'm sorry if I hurt you. I felt like it was one of those type of apologies.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I'm so wonderful that I'm going to forgive you.
Well, and the other thing that he said too, where he said, well, I've cheated before, but I was 18 and it was just a kiss.
Oh,
it's
please.
Like, oh, please.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Well, and even if that was the only time he ever cheated, I hate that. I hate it. I hate the comparison thing that people do where
like that's worse than having sex. I mean, if you have feelings for the person and you kiss them, that's worse than just having sex with someone you don't even give a shit about.
Yeah. But it's a little bit of, I was 18. And so what he's saying is the rules don't apply to me.
Right. I deserve
better treatment than other people, and I can treat you like crap. That's classic. I mean, he is a narcissist from a mile away.
He's awful.
He is awful. Awful, awful, awful. So, then what happens? So then now they have this whole conversation about honesty and all of that. What then prompts him. So things are getting more and more serious with her. And I think, and then finally,
it wasn't that day. It was probably the next day or something.
He finally decides to spill the beans and tell her about Lydia. And you're like, what the what? After you just shamed
her. It's like, oh, by the way,
I've been holding on to the secret and not telling you about it. Yeah. And I have to tell you. So he tells her, she's of course shocked, and she and Lydia have gotten really close, and she's like, I wouldn't date one of my friend's ex-boyfriends. I just wouldn't. And he was so dismissive of that, so dismissive of her when she's trying to explain to him how she's feeling.
Yeah, like
he could not care less.
Like, what's the big deal? I told you the truth. Oh, and then he tried to downplay his relationship with Lydia, like it didn't mean anything. And
well, did we hear we heard that they dated for a while and then they got back together and slept together 3 months ago. Yeah, but he never tells Aaliyah any of those things.
No. That Lydia told her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess they had dated maybe like the year before, and they remained friends, I think, because Uche told her, Lydia's a great person. I have nothing bad to say about her. Well, that's what he said at first. Yeah. And then, I don't know, 3 months ago, something happened. They hooked up again. She was at his apartment having sex with him 3 months before the show. And Aaliyah finds this out after she finds out with Uche. She's really shocked. She goes back to the women's quarters. She tells Lydia, I just found this out. And Lydia's sort of like, oh, I know I didn't, whatever, because she knew too. Yeah. And then she starts just spilling the beans.
Yes.
Talking about,
and that was bad.
It was really bad.
Because Aaliyah said to her straight on, I don't want to know these things. I don't want to know these things. I don't want to know these things. And Lydia, if you and Uche agreed not to tell people because it would ruin the experiment, why are you doing this to her now?
She's the one who tells her we cooked up 3 months ago. Uh-huh. Oh, he's got a great house, he's got a great car, his favorite color is blue. I love his dog. She just starts going on and on. And, and Aaliyah's just looking at her. Her eyes are just, she's stunned. She can't believe that this is happening. And she's like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is too weird.
Yes. And so poor Aaliyah is like, the person that she thought she was wanting to get engaged to is lying to her. The person that's her best friend is hasn't been honest with her. And that's one of the things about Lydia that bugs me is Lydia does not listen. She does not listen at all. Because if you listened, she's Aaliyah, or read her body language, you could see very clearly Aaliyah does not want to know these things, and she's very, very uncomfortable. So that was a lot. So Aaliyah finally comes back, right? One more time, or does she see Uche one more time?
No,
or was that what prompted her?
I think that was it. I think she came from that meeting with Uche. And then she went back and talked to Lydia. And then like the next day or whatever, they show Uche going into the pod. And then some producer announces that Aaliyah has decided not to continue with the experiment.
Yes. And of course, Uche, Mr. Controlling, is livid.
Yeah.
He is livid that someone would, number one, reject him, or that she would leave without asking. And we learn later that apparently she and Lydia got into a fight, I guess. And that's really, yeah, she and Lydia got into a fight. Lydia made a comment about something. I'm sure she kept talking about Uche. And I think
she probably said Uche's great in bed. He's got a huge dick.
And I think Aaliyah said something to the effect of, well, why don't you just go back with him? Why don't you be with him? And I think that upset everyone. And so she was like, I got to get on a plane and get back to Houston.
I don't blame her.
I don't either.
I kind of have mixed feelings. I sort of feel like she should have told Uche, I'm leaving. I shouldn't have to. I mean, she could have just came in and said, this is just way too much. So it was a little weird that she just got up and left. But anyway, yeah, Uche's incensed.
Oh, yeah. That she didn't write him a note.
No,
she didn't do anything.
No. Oh, she returned the journal, too. Oh, yeah. The journal was sitting there in the pod. Like, fuck you and your poems.
Your crappy ass poems. You're not Love Jones.
That's right.
So then we see a producer, and then the producer calls up Aaliyah and says, hey, do you want to talk to Uche? Uche's here. Gives the phone to Uche. And of course, Uche just starts yelling at her.
Yeah.
She's like, where are you?
Very hostile. How dare you leave here? Yeah. If you loved me, you would have talked to me, and you don't treat someone you love this way. And it's like, please, you people didn't really love each other. And again, this is one of my problems with this show. I'm sorry, love is not blind. Having someone say nice things to you through a wall and, sound like a nice person and listen to you and have a dialogue, that's not love.
Yeah.
Love is also physical. It's also being able to live with someone, see what they're like on a daily basis. Yeah. What is their family like? How do they treat you in real life? This is not love.
I think that it's funny because I think that they get behind those walls and I think they feel like, okay, this is a time to be really vulnerable. And I think that they all get really vulnerable really fast, which is not, you can't have trust without vulnerability. You can't have vulnerability without trust.
Right.
And so part of it is there's such this pressure to move, pick
for the show. Okay, you got 5 days.
Yeah, to pick someone, find that person, connect with them, and
you're competing against other people.
And so there's so much pressure. And so I think that they just say vulnerable things to each other and they think, oh, we're really compatible because I can tolerate it, or you've told me. And it's like, no, telling people vulnerable things when you don't really know them, that's not love, and that's not I don't know what it is. It's too much. That's what I'll tell you that. It's all too much, and it's not anything anyone should be doing on a date.
It's entertaining for us. Yes. But, in reality.
All right. And then we'll get into, let's talk about the other couples, because we can get into what happens with Uche once they get home.
Because that's it for now.
Within the pod.
For now,
yes. Yeah. So then there is also, should we get into Izzy and all of Izzy's stuff?
Yes. Well, Izzy is very popular with a lot of the ladies.
So Izzy has, Lydia really liked him. Mm-hmm. And then there's also Johnny, and there's also Stacy. So Johnny is 30 and she's an attorney. And Johnny says a lot of things. She says, I'm 8,000 walking red flags.
Yeah, which is not a good way to be describing yourself. She has a self-esteem problem.
And she has been married before and had, just a very complicated dating history, to the point where even her own mother's like, maybe love isn't for you. maybe relationships aren't for you, which is, I can imagine, incredibly devastating to hear that from your mother.
Right. Well, she's apparently attracted to people who she can rescue, people with addiction issues.
Yes.
Like she said the only person she ever loved was this relationship where he was addicted to drugs, and he eventually ended up overdosing. And as a rebound to that guy, she got married to like a safe guy who she said she wasn't even in love with. I mean, she has a lot going on.
Yeah. Johnny needed another year or two of therapy before we got here. But so Johnny's interested in Izzy, and she's also interested in this guy, Chris, who is so sweet.
Who's like the nicest guy. Oh, he's too nice for this show.
He's 27. He's a project manager. The story about how he lost his virginity, I thought was
sexual assault.
Yes, he was assaulted.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that he talked about it. And again, I think it's really important. It's something people don't talk about enough. I think it took a lot of guts for him to talk about it. But he is so sweet, and he really, really liked Johnny. And they did have a connection. They do. That you could see that there was some connection there, but so Johnny ends up dumping poor Chris, and he was devastated, so devastated, and then goes to Izzy and says, well, you're my number one, and then proceeds to tell him about how I'm 8,000 walking red flags and dumps all this stuff. And Izzy...
That addiction, because she asked him, she's like, have you ever had issues with addiction?
Would you have asked that a little bit earlier, now?
That's her segue into talking about this relationship that she was in. And also before that, Izzy, he has a sad story about how he was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, yeah.
And he could never, he could never celebrate anything or do anything. And he got in trouble for going on an Easter egg hunt. And then someone revealed that his father wasn't really his father.
Yeah.
But he has a really
he does.
And I think Johnny is attracted to these stories and rescuing people, and she's saying, well, you can become part of my family, and that whole thing.
So she's into Izzy, and so Izzy hears all of this, and this is all just too much for Izzy to handle. So the other person that's in Izzy's life was Stacy, and Stacy's a funny one, because I have to say I went back and forth. There were times that I really liked her, actually, and there were times that I really hated her.
Yeah.
And in the beginning in the pods, when I first saw her, I didn't really like her, but then
she grew on
me. I thought she had I thought she was very sensible. I think there was a scene where eventually Lydia has to tell Milton about how she and Uche dated before. And Milton's like, can I have a few minutes? Like, he needed to go take some moments. And Lydia storms into the women's quarters like, oh God. And Stacey's like, hold on. He just is taking this information in. Like, she was very, good. Thank you. Someone's like being very rational with this doesn't, don't take this the wrong way. He's just trying to process something that you've already known. She goes and she gets Lydia a glass of water, helps like a mother, dries her tears. Like, you can do this. It's okay. So there were moments in those moments where I really liked her. I thought she was really very together, and she seemed far less, I think I would handle it the way she's handling it, which is I really wouldn't want to tell anybody about what's going on.
Yeah.
And what really Izzy likes about her is that she kind of kept everything real light. All these other people were asking these really serious questions. And Izzy had that same thing. Izzy thought that he had such a connection with Johnny, but it was because they were talking about heavy duty things. And he and Stacy weren't talking about heavy duty things. And that's one of the things that I liked about Stacy, because Stacy really said, like, I'm not going to start telling you things until I know you or trust you.
Because he was kind of, yes. He was kind of pushing her to, say, I love you, or, but I also,
she did then start to become more vulnerable. Yeah. But in a normal, slower pace of, well, I am having a lot of feelings for you, and I've been writing about my feelings, and this is what's going on, and I'm trying to catch my breath, and I'm feeling all of these things. So anyway, I interrupted.
But I remember when she did start after he dumped Johnny, and she knew that she knew that now it was just two of them, and she did start to open up more. And I kind of saw this look on his face, like, oh shit, like she's not like the cool girl anymore. She started telling him about more serious things, and he kind of had this look on his face, like Izzy. That's the thing. Izzy's been through so much. He just wants easy.
Yes,
but that's just not reality.
Well,
like, everybody's got. I mean, there's degrees of stuff, but I just think he really wants a woman who is going to be easy breezy. Yes. And he can just come into their family and start a new family.
And not require a lot of him.
Right.
I get the vibe with Izzy that he doesn't want anyone to require a lot from him in his life. I mean, we see this once we see his apartment and some other things, but it's like, then why are you coming on the show? Obviously, Izzy's cute. I'm sure he's has this reputation of being an F-boy, right? So why do you need to be on the show, Izzy? And that's when we see later on in the last episode that we watched, episode 7, when Izzy and Stacy have this party, just how messy he is. And I'm like, oh, I think somebody wanted to be a housewife or something, because that's when it seemed like, oh, you're very different. You're not the cool guy anymore. You're a jerk, and you're, I don't even know how to describe him. It was just this weird,
when
from
he was
being very
Mr. down Johnny.
He went from this easy breezy, Mr. Cool, everyone loves me kind of guy to just telling, can I give you some advice?
Thank you.
F you. And then she said no, when you still get, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. That's like, oh God, drives me crazy. So
they get engaged.
So of course they're meant to be. So they get engaged, and definitely those two are really attracted to each other. I mean, I think they both thought, that was very, very clear.
Yeah, no, they had no problems there.
So in the midst of all this, after Izzy dumps Johnny goes back to the pods and says, I didn't realize how much Chris was devastated by me dumping him. And
that stroked her ego.
Yes. And so she was like, maybe I need to go talk to Chris. So she goes back to Chris. And we've seen this before with other couples where she goes back to them and said, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. And then there's this whole thing where you see Chris talking to Izzy. He's so messy. He's talking to Izzy in the men's quarters about what did she really say. And she was contradicting herself.
Izzy should have just not said anything.
He shouldn't have said
that
a thing.
That was so messy.
Because he screwed it up, and I think I understand where she was coming from. I think she realized it, and she made a fatal flaw of saying to Chris, I could see our lives together and it was boring. I think that was really mean and rude to him. And I think she realized that she kept repeating a pattern by picking someone like Izzy and rejecting someone like Chris.
But now she's like, I want boring, so I want you now.
And Chris, man, backbone, he says, no.
Yeah.
He says, no, I don't think so. I don't want to do this. But, and so she goes home too. And then kind of, sort of. Yeah. So that's their triangle thing. Milton and Lydia get engaged. And of course, when Lydia sees him, she's like, oh boy, he looks young. Because it's funny. It's true. Once he shaved that mustache a little bit and cut his hair, I was like, oh yeah, he does have a baby face. He is young.
Yeah.
He does.
But she was attracted to him because he's a tall drink of water.
Yeah.
And she liked that. And she was all over him, and they couldn't keep their hands off each other. They were they were into it. So I mean, I think she's obviously physically attracted to him. what happens next is
a big question mark.
Interesting.
So then the last couple that got engaged but didn't last very long are Taylor and JP.
Yeah.
So Taylor's 25. She's a teacher, a kindergarten teacher, and she's very cute and young and blonde and kind of like, and he is 30. He's a firefighter. And boy, he had a sad story too, where he had this really terrible mother that was abusive to his sister and dominating and
mom,
and
which you can tell. And he only wears red, white, and blue. And he wears like these flag shirts and stuff. And don't anyone come at me about this. This has nothing to do with like some bashing any like right wing. I don't care.
It's a little much.
I don't care who you are. It's a little much to say I'm only going to wear red, white, and blue, and to wear flag shirts and have a flag handkerchief and
his bathing suit's got a flag on it. So he's walking around with this flag shirt and these flag shorts. I mean, you just look silly.
Yeah. It's too much. It's like, we get it. We get it. You love America.
You know what? I got a crazy idea, JP. Make sure you vote, JP.
Right.
That's how you can love America. Get out there and vote and do the right things. That's much better than wearing red, white, and blue.
Yeah, but
show that you care.
He's very awkward. That's the thing. In the pods, for whatever reason, he felt comfortable enough to open up. But when you're looking back, Taylor was the one who was driving that.
Yes.
She would ask him a lot of questions. They had a little card game where they would ask each other questions. So it kind of forced him. But he did open up about his mother, but then he'd say, oh, well, but she's fine now. Everything's fine now.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not fine. Like he was talking about how mean she was to his sisters and
abusive, verbally abusive.
Yeah. And so I'm sure she was at least somewhat to him too. But it's abuse to have to watch your siblings be abused. So he has some issues with women, I think.
Yes. Well, so then they're the first to get engaged. They have the reveal, and then it's awkward because she's like, hi, she's very happy. He's sweating profusely, which I can understand. I would be really nervous and sweating too. I'm a little sweaty right now. So I mean, it makes sense, but she just keeps trying to talk to him, and he just has this look on his face of like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, he can't even talk.
He can't talk.
And he can't kiss. When he kisses her, he does this like really quick, violent sort of like pecking. Like,
did you hear what Kate Casey said on our podcast? She said the exact same thing. I think it might have been on her Patreon or something, but she said the same thing. The way he kisses her is like the way you would kiss your child, like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Very like, okay.
But he does it like really hard, like 3 times in a row, like bang, bang, bang. And it's just like, oh my God, there's no passion, tenderness, romance, nothing. He's just, and so right away it's awkward.
Yes.
From like the first second, it's awkward. And it only gets worse.
Yes. So then they're all in Mexico, and they're in Mexico, and we're starting to see some of the cracks a little bit of the couples. And well, if we just want to stay with Taylor and JP, they get to Mexico and it's awkward day one.
Like he's not speaking.
Yeah.
It's like he's mute.
Yes. And that I really felt for her because that would drive me crazy. Yeah. But he was not telling her. She's like, what is wrong?
What's wrong?
What is going on? What's going on? What's going on? So finally, day 3, and she's, at this point, Taylor's pissed because she's seeing the other couples and how lovey-dovey they are, and they're miserable. And so finally, on day 3 of the vacation, or the second to last day, he finally says, well, I didn't like all that makeup. I didn't like the caked on makeup
and
with the eyelashes and I like how you are now naturally, and she's very beautiful. She's beautiful with the makeup. She's beautiful without makeup. But that didn't make a lot of sense, because if that was the only issue, then once you saw her without the makeup, wouldn't that just go away? Wouldn't you then be like, oh, she's so beautiful. She doesn't need all this makeup. I mean, so it was just like, I don't think he was attracted to her.
Right.
I just don't think she was his type.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, obviously, they tell them to dress up. Like, he's in a suit. She's got a dress on. Obviously, she's going to put some makeup on and some eyelashes, but it was not over the top.
No.
And then immediately, yeah, so what if she wants to dress up for this? You know, you're on television, so most people wear like a lot of makeup on television. I felt like that was a bit of an excuse. But I mean, it couldn't. But if that was an excuse, well, what else did she do wrong? I mean, she was trying so hard.
Well, and that was the part that was weird. Was it seemed very clear that that something was off, but he wanted to keep working on it, and she came from, she was actually being the younger one, the more mature one. Mm-hmm. And she said, wait a second here. Like, let's spend a night apart. Let's take some space and let's figure this out. And then the next morning she gets up, and I think she had already decided by then, like, I'm done with this guy. I don't care what he says to me, but he still wanted to make that work. So is it that he wanted to be on the show so badly? Is it that he just didn't feel like he could ever say to her what's really going on? I mean, it was so bizarre, because I would have a lot more respect for him if he just turned to her and was like, listen, I'm so it's just different. We had chemistry there, but we don't have chemistry here. Like, because that's the other thing too, is this whole Love is Blind thing, is that, and they've done studies on this, and anthropologists have studied this, where you really don't know if you have chemistry with someone until you're in the exact same room with them. Oh, yeah. You know, you can get on the phone with them, you can get on a Zoom, you can see them physically, you can hear them, you can talk to them. But until the two of you are actually in the exact same room at the exact same time, you don't know if there's chemistry there. Mm-hmm. And so obviously that's what's happening, but he's holding on so tightly, but not telling her. It was so weird. I don't even know what to say.
Well, I think he just didn't want to look like a failure on the show. Yeah. And
or he felt like he would look like a villain if he told her, I'm just not attracted to you.
Yeah.
Or that he would look bad in that way. But you could have tried. He didn't even seem to try. He just kind of was silent. It seemed to be maybe what he did as a kid, just kind of this very scared, passive, like, well, let me close my eyes. Your feelings. Yeah, until it's all over kind of thing. So they're done.
They're over.
So now we only have two couples.
Yeah. Gosh. Pickings are slim here.
Yes. So, and then we get back to Houston, and we see everyone moving into these apartments. And this is where we then see Uche and Aaliyah. So we find out that it was actually Aaliyah who asked to meet with Uche.
Right.
Which I was surprised about, because she was like, I still have feelings for you. Let's try to see, let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell you a bit about what happened, trying to find my notes from that. But it was
painful.
It was painful. And so then and then Uche prepares his opening statement.
Oh, yeah. He's prepared to take her down.
So he said that he didn't want to talk about this before because he didn't want to seem like the kind of person that would be talking negatively about women. But now I'm about to talk negatively about Lydia for the next, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So he reveals that when he and Lydia were dating, that she was going through a really hard time. There was a lot going on, and he didn't feel like he could give her 100%, and she really deserved 100%, and he didn't know, how to do this. So after he broke it off with him, while they were still dating, let's backtrack. He says, Lydia invaded my privacy. And so I guess that means she was snooping.
She went through his drawers. Yeah,
snooping around, went through his drawers. And that after they broke it off, that she was stalking his friends on Instagram, meaning that she was watching their stories, women who were his friends. And then his friends then say, hey, do you know this person? And texts him. His friends are just like him. Texts him and says, do you know who this woman is? I don't even know who watches my stories. I have no idea. How do you even find that information?
I don't even know how to check that.
There is a way to check it.
I know there is, but I don't know how to do it.
But that's so weird that people are then checking.
Oh, trust me.
Then Uche's friends are then checking to see who's watching the stories.
The kids. Yes, the kids. Yes, they are incessantly checking to see. Yeah, because my daughter tells me that all the time. It's like she's like, well, I can't follow that person because then they'll know if I see their stories and then they'll make this connection. And she's thinking like, 10 steps ahead. And I'm like, okay.
So he, of course, paints himself out. And the other thing that she did that was so crazy was that she drove, the way he describes it, she drove by his house one time and took a picture of his house and said, I see you. Meaning,
that is a little weird.
Well, hold on. She explains what happened later on. We hear a bit of her explanation.
What was it? I don't remember.
Her explanation was, Uche, you and I were texting back and forth all day. I was in your neighborhood.
Oh.
I take a picture and say, hey, I see you. Like, there's lots of ways you can interpret that, right? There is, hey, I see you. Hi, we've been talking. Like, if we're friendly and you and I are texting, I might not take a picture, but I might say, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. Hi, I can see you through the window. Ha, ha, ha. Mm-hmm. That's how she was selling it. But he, of course, Uche, who has no sense of humor. This guy has
he's humorless.
Sense of humor.
Oh, God, that alone is just a non-starter.
So he comes across as this whole idea that Lydia is obsessed with him. And this is where he maybe implies that maybe she applied for the show. I think this was where he implied where she applied for the show. And
well, that's an admission that she knew he was going on the show.
Yeah, we have to go back and see that because, he said, he kind of made it like, I don't know, maybe she saw that I had my application. Maybe she, who knows?
Oh, what? She was in your computer?
Well,
is she, see, to me, that's an admission that Lydia knew he was going on the show, that he had told Lydia, or maybe they applied together.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, and
I don't trust these people.
But this is what Aaliyah says. Aaliyah says, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Do the two of you guys know this, that you were going to be on the show together? What happened? And then she made some funny comment like, yeah, if you guys wanted to do that, you guys should just go on The Ultimatum or something like that. You're on the wrong Netflix reality show. Yeah. But then Uche tells us, this is weird too, that when he got back home, Aaliyah followed him on Instagram and then called him, then deleted the message, and then deleted her Instagram things, her messages, and then blocked him.
When she got back from the pods?
Back from when she knew that he was back too, this is what he said, that he said she followed him on Instagram, then she reached out and called him, and then she deleted the message. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
She deleted the message and then deleted him and blocked him from Instagram.
Well, wouldn't they have already been friends on Instagram?
Aaliyah? This was Aaliyah.
Oh, Aaliyah. I thought you were talking about Lydia.
No. Aaliyah. This is what Aaliyah did. So then I'm sitting here going, well, Aaliyah is a little messy too.
Yeah.
Like Aaliyah, I was with you. Yeah. But I was like, what is happening here? And I can kind of understand a little bit of her trying to figure out, do I want this person?
Did I make the right decision? Yeah. Did I not? Yeah.
But she's a little all over the place. But I don't trust Uche at all again, I think that maybe that's Uche's interpretation because that's what he said. Right. So then Uche says to her, he's so mad at her because she left. He said, you don't have confidence in me or our relationship. It's like, what relationship? From 5 days, a relationship? You don't have confidence.
She's supposed to have confidence, trust,
and
you. Yes.
And she doesn't know you. And she learned very quickly that you were holding a secret and not telling her. Yeah. And you shamed her. Like, come on.
And she's supposed to trust you.
Yes. Whatever. So he ends the relationship. Aaliyah, you dodged such a bullet. Yeah, you'd be so grateful that you dodged this because this guy is a nightmare. And then I thought, okay, that's the end of Uche. I just thought, we're never going to have to say Uche again. And then he comes back. You're like, oh, God, Uche. I mean, it was just.
Yeah, he comes back to the pool party or whatever.
Yes.
For what? I don't know. Like, I don't know why he needed. For him to then tell off Lydia. Yeah.
And then
he wasn't done. Yes. He had to tell her off too. I hate him.
Yes, I hate him too. So anyway, we see Izzy and Stacy kind of adjusting to each other's lives. We go to Izzy's apartment. So let's backtrack. We see Stacy owns her own home. Mm-hmm. It's 3 stories. And so now he's starting to get not so fun Stacy. He's getting realistic Stacy, who's sort of saying, well, hey, we need to talk about these things. Like if we're going to get married, whose home is this? Is this our home? Can you help me? What's going on with this?
She obviously has a lot more money herself. She has family money. money. Izzy just started a new job. You know, he has no...
And he's never worked in insurance before.
Right. He's starting a brand new job in a brand new field. He has no safety net. He doesn't have a the family. So he's starting to go, oh, shit. And this woman has, expensive taste.
Yes.
She says she likes to travel in luxury.
She drives a Mercedes.
She drives a Mercedes. The house is undergoing all this renovation. It's like, wow, like, girl, you got money.
3 stories. Yeah. And so he's starting to see all of this. And I think it's all kind of sinking in of like, oh, Lordy, this is real life. And then she goes to his place. Now, I'm with her on this one. Plastic plates and forks. Can you imagine going to someone's home?
He had no real plates.
He had no real plates. He had only plastic plates and paper plates and plastic. Weird. And so it would make more sense for you to have just one mug or one dish.
One set of dish, yeah.
It was so weird. I mean, that is bizarre. I just thought that's
that's lazy.
Is it laziness or is it almost, but it's almost, you know what it is? It's because I think she was trying to express to him, like, so you have women over here and you cook for them and that you're serving it on a plastic plate. It's like, I think because my question is, and I think this is what Stacey's thinking is, are women disposable to you? Like, is everyone disposable?
Well, and then he has that lost and found drawer or whatever. Of all the jewelry that's been left behind by random women.
Yes, and at earrings and hair ties.
I was like, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he keeps it and it's kind of like
and showed it
badge
to her.
Of honor and showed it to her.
Yes, because she made a comment and then he said, yeah, I have a lost and found. So he could have, but he kept telling her, oh, but I wanted to be honest with you. And she was like, but why wouldn't you just throw all that away? Like, you're going on the show to get engaged. Wouldn't you have tossed that? Or I'm coming to your home. Wouldn't you have gotten rid of that? Yeah. So she's perplexed. I mean, she just saw the plastic plates. Yeah. So I'm sure she's reeling.
And the plastic flowers from Hobby Lobby. Wherever. Michael's.
Yeah, I'm telling you, disposable.
Disposable.
His world is disposable.
Yeah.
So she is starting to get a little nervous and a little anxious about all this. And then also with them, we meet her father.
Her whole family.
So was that, she said, my dad's place. So I was thinking, oh, is
that a stepmom?
Yeah, but it said mom and these are her sisters. So it was so weird. But the other thing I thought was so interesting about this family is in our family, we would never have that kind of conversation like that. So it just seemed, I understand that they wanted, I understand they wanted to get to know him and they wanted to ask him questions about himself and his life. But their conversation was so weird and uncomfortable around sort of this. It was almost like they were back in the pods. Well, like we've got to get back to the basics. It's like we just all met each other. Can we get to know each other? Like we have to all start being vulnerable and tell each other our real truth. Like get into it right away.
Well, maybe it was the way it was edited, but I felt like the whole discussion was about money and materialism and how Stacey likes nice things. And, and just talking about how, when we went to Nice, these girls, they had a whole suitcase just full of shoes.
Listen, I've had a shoe bag too. There's no crime in having a shoe bag.
Well, if you went on vacation, would you have a whole suitcase of shoes?
No, but 3 girls, maybe.
There was 3 of them, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, it just felt, again, very like, these are our standards. And you better be able to live up to them. And then, the dad has a one-on-one talk with him, which is basically the same kind of subject.
Kind of talking around things. But then he makes this comment like, well, I don't know. If you can't step up, then it's my problem. And it's like, did you co-sign for the house? Like how much?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, our father had to co-sign for my house too.
Oh, so, mine too. Like 30 years ago. But
so he, but it was just odd because, so is she getting, I couldn't figure that out where it was like, is he the co-signer of the house? Does she get money from him?
I think
why is this now his problem? She's 33 years old. Like,
no, she has been. Look, I think she works hard. She's a hustler, but let's just be real. I don't think she makes at 33 enough money to have that kind of a lifestyle. Yes, her dad has been subsidizing her lifestyle, and he's looking for someone to take over.
I guess so. And I guess he's hoping Izzy, but Izzy's not it.
Not it. It's not going to happen. I mean, you have to sell a lot of insurance.
Yes. Well, listen, Vicki Gundelson. She made a fortune. You can do it, Izzy. But Izzy, you have to commit.
She's been working at it for, decades.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's going to take them. I mean, I think what they really just want to see, which is what I think anyone would want to see, is like, can you work? Are you a hard worker?
Right.
Are you going to show up and work? And so we shall see. But then we also meet, so then there's Lydia and Milton. So we're seeing their lives. So she goes to his apartment. He has a roommate because he's 24 and he's got this, the apartment wasn't too bad, but, you just notice how young he is and that he is an engineer and he makes a lot of money, but that he works a lot. And he also has to work nights sometimes when he's on call. And I think Lydia's starting to take all this in.
Well, no, I don't know if this was a joke. This kind of seemed like a setup. In the bathroom, there was like a stack of Penthouse magazines and a bunch of $1 bills, like I guess when they go to the strip club. And I'm like, this has got to be a setup. The roommate's like, oh, it's mine. Yeah. I'm like, okay, either you guys are really the biggest dorks that ever lived, or this is supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one.
I think those two guys think that we're such players. We've got dollar bills and Playboys in our bathroom. We're players. And it's like, no, you're not. What are you doing? So then we see Milton meets Lydia's mom and brother. And we also learn that Lydia is very neat and very clean. And which I'm sure she and Uche got along there.
Oh, yeah. They had that
They both liked that one. And that she is also really, really demanding. And we're already seeing this at certain points with the shorts.
Oh, yeah. She wanted to wear, in Mexico, she wanted them to wear matching outfits. And he's like, no, I don't want to wear those shorts. And she's like, yes, you have to. And here's the problem with them. One of many problems with them. They are constantly bickering and taking jabs at each other. And it has to, they take these jabs at each other about age constantly and just about anything. It's like neither one of them will compromise. Like if she says, I want you to do this, he's always like, no. And then she gets mad, and then that is not sustainable.
No.
I mean, and it's annoying just to watch because you're like, oh my God, you guys are so annoying.
Well,
everything is about the age difference. Everything is about fighting and bickering about this and these stupid little things. And it's like,
her neediness is palpable. I mean, it is palpable. You can feel it every time she comes on screen. And what happens is that she has to fill, because she does not listen well, she has to fill every moment with talking. And I think that Milton's a quieter person.
He's an introvert.
And he's an introvert and he's quieter. And I think he's thinking a lot. And so if she asks him something and he doesn't respond right away or respond with a long soliloquy, I'm sure she loved all of Uche's. Maybe she loved listening to Uche's opening and closing arguments all the time. But that she gets mad at him. She's upset with him. She's like, is it Milton? Like she keeps prodding him. It's like, yeah, he responded. He responded, Lydia. You have to sit.
Calm down.
You have to learn to sit with yourself here. You've got to. Like, she is just, I don't know. I think if they do end up getting married, I don't see it lasting, but I don't know if they're going to make it across the aisle. I really don't.
I mean, I think she will say yes, but I think he will probably be like, I can't take this.
Because she was so intense so early about, he left the cap off the toothpaste and he did this and he did that. It's like, okay, yeah. But you're just getting to know each other. But she's already bitching and moaning. And telling him, telling his mom and the brother all about it. It's just like, oh, this isn't good.
No.
So then that's them. And so finally we get to this last episode where Stacy and Izzy decide to throw a pool party for the pod people. And so Stacy reveals to us that she says that Johnny is a joke. Because apparently, because she and Johnny were both vying for Izzy, that Johnny would shit talk all the time about Stacy. This is Stacy's claim. But don't you think they would have shown that to us? Like, we never saw any scenes where Johnny was slamming her, saying anything negative about her. Why does... Because she's very quickly like, Johnny's a joke. And she says that instantly. Stacey.
I remember one scene, and I think it was right after Izzy dumped Johnny. She came back to the pods, and she told the girls, and she said something like, if he picks Stacey... you know, she's not right for him and he'll never be happy with her. Something like that. She did say that.
Okay.
That's
all right. I'll give you that, Stacey.
That's all I remember. I guess Stacey probably heard that. Well, I mean, Johnny knew that was her competition. And Johnny is shady. I'm sure she said a lot of things like, you know, they're over here whispering in the corner because Stacey was trying to stay out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she overheard stuff.
Okay. All right. See, I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But all right. So then we learn, because Johnny shows up and Chris is there. So apparently Johnny and Chris were at the airport in
and she
Mexico.
recognized his voice. And they heard each other, and then they met. And then this is what's called chemistry, people. They met and they clicked. It was like, oh, I like you. There's some there, right? Like, they like each other. And they seem really happy. They're dating. And so I'm very happy for them. But then, of course, you know, like The Bachelor, Izzy had to come over and say to Johnny, well, can we talk? And brings her over into this other area and tells her that I think you're really sketchy. Everyone thinks you're sketchy. And she's just like, sketchy? You know, everyone thinks we're sketchy. And he's claiming like, I'm sticking up for my friends. I think he also thought he was sticking up for Stacey. You're sketchy. Can I give you some advice? She says no. Everyone thinks you're sketchy. And I'm just sitting there thinking, why? Number one, why is he telling her any of this? Does she even need to know that's how people feel? She'll watch the show, like, and see how people feel. Why is he telling her that? And basically he tells her, with nothing else, you're a piece of shit. Yeah.
I'm bringing you over and sitting you down to say you're an awful, horrible person and you're a piece of shit. And then he runs over to Stacey like giddy. Like, ooh, I told Johnny.
Yeah,
she's
what
like,
I just
what I did. Ha ha ha. Almost like, and that's when I was like, we're seeing another side of Izzy. Like, this is weird, because you're the kind of person that would want to go and put this other person down and then run to your fiance to say, I defended you. You didn't defend her. Like, what do you mean? You're not defending anybody, or defending your friends, or that he feels this great need to defend Chris. It's like, what are you talking about?
It was
Chris is right here.
rude and unnecessary.
So unnecessary. Yeah. So she, of course, is devastated and, you know, I'm surprised she stayed there. I would have gotten up and left. Chris is trying to, you know, console her. And then I was like, God, I am just emotionally spent. And then all of a sudden, oh, fuck.
Here comes Uche.
I was like,
back.
Oh, God, Uche. So...
Yeah, and of course, he has to have a discussion.
He's got to pull Lydia aside. Ugh. So,
and I don't even remember what he said to her.
Well, no, but you know, it is like, she at first turns and sees him and he says, well, can I talk to you? And she said, well, I don't really want to. I don't feel like we should, or we need to. And then she said, but if I have to, yeah, okay. She sits down, and then he launches into this whole thing about how she has, in their past relationship, she had all these great qualities about her. And he starts telling her, like, you're this, you're caring, you're this and that. And she's sitting there like, okay, you know, you're telling me all these things. And then he launches in. And this is the part I was very confused about. So if anyone understands this, I was a little confused, because they then start talking about their first argument. They keep saying to each other, well, during this argument, they give us no context about what they're talking about. It's all about this argument and who lied to who. And then he starts to bring up the fact that you invaded my privacy. She's like, what are you talking about? I opened a drawer. So this is what I'm starting to think. Like, I think both Uche and Lydia have some pieces of this, but then I was like, wait a second. Did he maybe see her open a drawer once or look through something once, and then maybe she wasn't necessarily snooping. She was just like, I'm at your apartment. I'm looking for a hair tie. Or I'm looking for something, you know, a rubber band or something. And so he takes that as that she's, you know, invading his privacy, that then she describes what happens. He started saying, well, you took a picture and you said, I see you. She's like, I was texting you. We were talking all day long. And then the last one was he confronted her. He showed her the messages he got from his friends about the Instagram stories. And she was just like, what? What are you talking about? Like, that I do think is a little odd and weird, but I will tell you, a lot of people do that. Like, when people feel hurt and obsessed by someone, you know, and they're trying to figure it out, you know.
Everybody does it, I think. It's a thing. Like, I don't know. Look, if we had that back in the day, I know I'd be doing that.
So finally she's like, I've had it. She gets up, she tries to leave. He, of course, wants to keep talking to her so he can keep railing into her. And she goes to Milton, and Milton comes over with her and tries to, because Uche wants to keep talking to her. And Milton's like, well, I'm trying to figure out how to be here for you. I don't know what to do. And so Milton comes and he gives her like, well, we need to be somewhere in 10 minutes. So I guess this is their code. So we need to leave soon. So let's wrap this up. And so, of course, Uche is like, oh, I only have 10 minutes. My opening statement's 20, it's like an hour and a half. Hold on. Yeah. So he has to speed through. And then, so finally, and then she gets up again. And then it ends with Uche wanting to take Milton aside. It's like, oh my God, Uche, what is your problem?
Go away. These people Get alone. A life. I know. You're not even on the show anymore. Why are you here? Who invited you?
Well, do you think the producers, do you think they were contractually obligated to come back and come to this party? He wasn't obligated, but the thing is, you know, Uche, you could be real classy. You could have come to this party, said hello to everyone, and just been done. You didn't need to do this. You did not need to do any of this. No. And you too, Izzy. These guys are assholes.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're all sort of, and this is when I started to dislike Stacey. I'm like, really, Stacey? Like, okay, you don't particularly like Johnny, but you think it's okay for him to go and just yell at her and speak to her like she's a child? And
well, she might not have known that he was going to do that. I don't.
Well, no, I don't think she knew it was going to happen, but it was very odd how she responded to it. Maybe she really hates Johnny that much, and she would like to see Johnny get taken down a peg. I don't know.
Yeah. I just don't know how much of this is produced and how much of it is just these guys are assholes.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's a combination of the two. I think that the producers say, well, you know, come to the pool party and you and Lydia can, like, you know, smooth things over. Mm-hmm. And then he takes that opportunity to just dress her down.
Yeah.
And same with Izzy.
Do you think that the producers went to Izzy and said, oh, you know, maybe you should pull Johnny aside and talk to her and have this conversation with her? And but again, they can say no. And I understand with these reality shows, there's a lot of pressure, producers. Mm-hmm. There's, you know, you feel like you have to perform in some way, shape, or form. But at the same time, there was no reason for them to do what they're doing. Yeah. And then Izzy sees Johnny crying, and there's really there's no sense of I just made you cry. I just made you cry. It was almost this, see, look what I did. Ha, 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 ha. And that's when I was like, ugh.
And this was someone who he claimed that he was, you know, falling in love with.
A week ago from, oh, wait a minute. So you know what it was? Because it was 13 days till the wedding. Because now that there's only two couples, they have to speed things along so quickly. So, okay, 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, you were in love with her. But it's still ridiculous.
Right. And the reason that you broke it off with her was because you started getting freaked out because she actually had, you know, she wasn't easy breezy, Stacey. Well, guess what? Stacey's not easy breezy.
Oh, no.
Nobody is. Well, and Stacey's got her own issues too.
Yeah.
Different, but,
well,
you know.
But even if that was the case, like, you don't have any, you said that you loved this person, you cared about this person, you don't have any feeling at all about her. Like, you just hear everybody say that she's sketchy and you just decide that that's what the truth is. This is what bugs me about all this. It's almost like no one can see anybody else's perspective. That's the way Lydia describes what happened with her and Uche, and the way Uche describes it. It's like neither one of you are seeing each other because your perception of what is happening is so radically off. Mm-hmm. But the big reveal at the very, very end is, why did Uche and Lydia broke up? Because Uche cheated on her with another girl when they were dating.
Oh.
So Uche is the cheater. So this whole time, so that's why it was so hard for Lydia to keep her mouth shut in the pods.
Right. when she's hearing Aaliyah crying because Uche is mad because 2 years ago she cheated.
Yes.
She's a recent cheater.
But he's a more recent
cheater. Ugh. Oh, yeah.
That was just, when she said that at the end, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Of course he did. God damn it. So I don't like anybody on the show. I like Chris. That's it.
Yeah, I like Chris. I like Milton.
I like Milton. I like Milton, and I like Chris.
I like Lydia. I don't have anything against her. She's just...
No, I don't think Lydia's a bad person. She's just a lot.
She shouldn't be in this environment. No. And, same with Aaliyah. Like, the guys they had to pick from were just like,
Yeah. Well, that's why I was like, so what was it? Was it just the people that you cast? Is it?
I think it's casting. I think it's casting. And again, going back to what we said in the beginning, a reality show only has a few good years.
That's true.
Before it just starts to unravel, because then you get these kind of people coming.
Yep. Yeah.
And auditioning. Yeah. Because I can't remember in the past. I don't remember people being mean in these ways.
They weren't. They were not mean like this.
Maybe
there was always jealousy. It started with, and honestly, it started with last season with the mean girls with Micah and Arena.
Oh, yeah.
They really, that was the first time we really saw that, like, blatantly in people's faces.
Yeah, and people loved it. They ate it up. So I think the producers were like, oh, we need more of that. Mm-hmm. Because, prior to that, it was always like, the people either got along or fell in love or whatever, or they didn't, but they weren't mean to each other.
Yeah.
They treated each other, respectfully. Oh, there was Bartice.
Listen, there were a lot of moments, but it was always within the context of the relationship, right? That we're not getting along, or I don't like,
not bringing in other people.
They were pulling people aside to yell at them and being messy. And Uche, oh my God.
And now, how is he ever going to be able to date again? Now that any woman who sees this and goes on a date with him, it's just a masochist.
Yes.
You're just asking for
you are.
pain.
Because this guy I would run.
Yes.
Run from him.
Run the other direction. And kind of Izzy too, I think. I think we're going to see more. We're going to see more from him.
Yes. So I thought Chris and Milton are very sweet, but they're both just very young. So you get these kind of sweet people that are young, and then all these other people. Oy. Anywho, boy, I'm exhausted. That was a lot. That was a lot.
But this show is so good. It just gets you just get sucked in.
I know.
I don't really like the direction that it went in. When maybe they can course correct, and next season, don't encourage these.
Yeah. Well, get more likable people.
Yeah. Cast some more likable people. We don't want these people fighting amongst each other. We really don't.
There's enough there where we don't need to see.
We don't need
this.
We don't.
And I also think that people think that housewives, I keep referring to housewives, but that is how housewives changed, because it was once about these women's lives, and then it became about fighting with each other. Yeah. And I don't know if that's not necessarily what people want.
No.
And yes, the Housewives franchise is still popular, but it's not as popular as it once was, because I think a lot of people are just like, there's enough fighting in our world. Like, we don't need to fight and watch everybody fight on TV. No, it's
true. And I think the Housewives ratings are down overall. And in fact, last night, I tried to watch the season finale of Orange County, and I couldn't. I had to turn it off.
It was so boring.
Well, it was boring, and it was just awful. Like, all these flashbacks to the fighting in Mexico, and I didn't even watch it's like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Tamra just
systematically destroy. She basically destroyed all of Heather's relationships with everybody.
Yeah. I don't want to see that. I'm interested in their lives. I want to see, what is Tamra doing now that Cut Fitness is closed? I don't know. Heather Dubrow, at least she has an interesting life. I like to see the stuff that she's doing, even though sometimes she can be kind of insufferable. But yeah, exactly. Life is hard. Yeah. Life is hard right now. I don't think people want fighting and
we just want love,
negativity.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it's true. It's true. Did you watch New York at all, or no?
No, I have not seen that since, I think I watched the first 3 episodes or something.
Yeah. But apparently because New York is going to wind down soon too, but apparently they're not getting a full, they're not getting a reunion. They're going to do like a watch what happens reunion. And then I just saw something about how Jenna wore jeans.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture.
And it was like, oh, blasphemy. It's like, no, because she's super cool and different. And she doesn't want to wear a ball gown to talk about this stuff.
Why are we wearing ball gowns to reunions to begin with?
Yeah.
They used to just wear their sky tops and their white jeans. Well,
but it's just like wear a nice dress or wear some pants and a shirt. Like, why do we need these full-on ball gowns and hair? And it's insane. It's nutty. Anyway. All right. So if you're still with us, thank you so much. You've made it to the end. If you like this podcast and you haven't already, please go and give us a 5-star rating and review, or just a rating. We're happy with that. We are on social media at Psych Legal Pop on Instagram and TikTok. And if you are not already, please subscribe to the podcast. So that way you don't ever have to wonder if you're going to get these awesome episodes.
Yes.
It's all just right there. And I think that's it. Yeah.
We're going to finish out Love is Blind. So next week we'll do
the other next
8 and 9. Yeah. And then I don't know how they're going to release it. They'll probably release 8 and 9 and then do 10. Finale will be the last week. And we're still doing Sister Wives season 18 on Monday. That comes out on Monday. Mm-hmm. And after Love is Blind, I think we're going to get into some documentaries.
Yes. And then we'll get back to Sister Wives. But the season that we're in is really long.
2 days a week of Sister Wives is just too much, Cody.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is. So, and we'll get back to it after this season 18 is over, whenever that is.
Yes. All right. We'll see you all next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.